Here we have a 2004 S500 Mercedes-Benz key fob that came in for repair. The fob looks something like this. And upon initial inspection, I press on any one of the buttons and I do see a light in the front. If we press on the trunk button, I do see a light. If I press on the lock button, I do see a light. And we do not really care much about the panic button, but if we do press on the panic button, we see a light. You're not going to see it because of my finger, but there is a light. Okay, right here. So a light is a good indication that something is working on the fob. The customer wrote, let's read what the customer wrote. The customer said, key will not turn in, ignition switch. Key will not turn in, ignition switch. That's it. That's all what the customer wrote. And that's enough information for us. Let me just quickly open up the fob, take a look at the motherboard and see what's going on. Why is the fob not turning on the ignition, right? So the battery holder goes up like this, and one of the batteries went inside. And we have the motherboard and also that plastic piece. Let me quickly test the batteries. Batteries should be good because we are getting a red blink. But still, I want to see around 6 volts and we have 6.054 volts. That's good. Let's go under the microscope and see what's going on. So we have the trunk button, which is functional because we tried all the buttons and all of them showed that red blink. So no reason to assume that we have a problem with any one of the buttons. We have the NEC chip here. Components, they look good. I do not see any corroded traces. The oscillator looks good. I mean, the board looks mint. It looks perfect to me. I do not see any missing component. I do not see any damaged component. I do not see any corroded components or traces. Flip the board. Same here. Look at this. The board looks excellent. Whoa. Except for the infrared transmitter, it looks like somebody has been here before. I see signs of flux. What's this? And I see a burn on that component. And this component is very difficult to replace because it's fully plastic. If you touch the soldering iron on here, it's going to melt quick. If you apply hot air, it's going to melt quick. If you use hot tweezers, it's going to melt quick. And it looks like somebody tried to replace this transmitter or maybe solder the same one, and in the process, they burned some of the plastic on this coil. Now, this part of the coil is not connecting to anything. It's only those two pieces. You know what? Let's measure the coil. Make sure the coil is good. We care about those 2 points only. Meter in diode mode. And we want to hear a beep, a long beep. Good. What about from here to here? Here to here? The coil is good. This part here is a no connect. It's only used for support. Let's go ahead and test the fob. I have a fob tester right here, and I want to test for a frequency transmission and also infrared. If I press on the button, I'm not seeing infrared transmission, only frequency. Look at the light. I'm only seeing one light. We should see 2 lights, 1 and 2. I'm just seeing 1 light. So that tells us that we have a problem with the infrared transmission, and that's because of this burnt component that we see on the board. We got it. Let's go under the microscope. And how are we gonna remove this component or solder a new one? Maybe we can grind some of that burnt plastic on the coil because it's coming too close to that transmitter. And that transmitter is not even making a connection. Look at this. Look at this. It's not even making a connection. Nice. Let me grind some more plastic. I just want some room so we can solder that component because the plastic is in the way. Apply a tiny bit of flux. I just want to wick off whatever solder is left on those pads. Make them as clean as possible. And we're going to use this nice thick braid that you can get at NorthridgeFix.com. And this one is not a flimsy braid wick. It's not like the ones that you buy off Amazon or eBay or AliExpress. That's one thick, heavy-duty braid. The best out there. If you bought this wick from our site, let me know what you think. Leave it down in the comments. If you have tried other wicks and you tried ours, let me know what you think. Leave it down in the comments. You can buy all your tools from our site. Just log in to NorthridgeFix.com, click on shop, add to cart. Everything from soldering stations, which we currently have out of stock, but we have a shipment on the way. This amazing microscope, hot air stations, thermal cameras, which are also out of stock. And they are on the way. You can still back order. Original Amtech Flux, this amazing braid wick, tweezers, pliers, whatever you need, add to cart, check out, pay, and we almost always ship out same day. You know the story by now. If you have ordered from us before and you got your shipment quick, leave a comment down below. If you did not receive your shipment on time, do not leave a comment. Just to be fair. Right? So I have a donor key fob here, and we're gonna remove that component from this donor fob. But how are we gonna remove that component? I just wanna show you one thing quick. Let me flip the board. We have another component here. I just want to show you what happens if we use hot tweezers or if we use our soldering iron or our hot air station. Let me show you something quick. We have an infrared component right here. If I use the hot tweezers to remove that component, look at this. That component is fragile, really fragile. Maybe we can use our soldering iron also. Let me show you what happens if I want to apply heat using my soldering iron. heat right here. See, look, that very thin conductive layer, it just broke off. See? Very fragile. Let's go back to this donor board and let's see, how are we going to be able to remove this component? We do not have one on the back, we have one in the front. What we can do is we can heat up from the back, or we can apply hot air at a very low temperature and just be patient until we are able to remove that component in hopes that we're not going to burn it. But why go that route if we can apply heat from the bottom? I do not care about this fob. I just care about having a good infrared component. Look at this tweezer. Screaming for mercy. So right now I'm applying hot air from the bottom. And we're almost there. Nice. We're gonna grab that component gently, nice and gentle. And we're gonna solder that component right here on those clean pads. Now I need a board holder so that fob does not wobble all over the place. Just a tiny bit of flux. Original Inventec Amtech flux. We're gonna align it as best as possible. Now we're gonna solder. Now with my soldering iron, I'm not gonna touch the component. I'm gonna touch the pad on the board. Just the pad, not the component. And I'm using the NF Mini pen, one of the most precise pens that we have in the shop here. It uses the 115 tips. And we now carry the red version. It comes with 3 tips: the knife tip, conical tip, and bent tip. You can choose to have the pen without any tips, should you have any 115 size tips, or you can buy the pen with any one of the tips that you like. Let's see if we can press down on that component gently. I do not want to disturb the alignment, so we have to do it as gentle as possible. All right, we applied solder on one side, but I'm gonna apply more. Let's do the other side. Nice. Very nice. Solder flew all the way. We're gonna redo this side here. We're gonna hit just the pad and not the component. Nice. We are done. We are done. Look at this. Look at the soldering on this component. Let's clean up. And then we're gonna test the fob to make sure that we have both frequency and infrared transmission, not just frequency. So let me show you what I did quick. You see it? The component on top. That's what we soldered. And what I'm going to do is put the motherboard back in the shell. I do not want to hold both the motherboard and battery holder while testing. It's going to be difficult. So put the batteries inside the holder, and we're going to put the holder inside the shell. And now we're going to test using this fob tester to see if we're going to get 2 lights or just 1. Before we only had 1 light, the one for the frequency. But now, see, now we have 2 lights. The bottom and top one. The camera likes my eyes. It keeps focusing on my eyes. See? Now if you look at the lock button, I'm pressing on the lock button, we have 2 lights and not just 1. So the fob is fixed. We are done. We're gonna invoice and mail this back to the customer. Is the microphone working? Yes. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Leave it down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll do something else in the next video.